Hello and welcome back to Across the Gulf Coast. Well, as you can tell, we've now made our way to our Fort Walton Beach studio, where we're going to talk about organizations in Okaloosa County, first of which is the United Way of Okaloosa and Walton County. They have a lot going on and some changes coming to the organization, and we're going to hear all about that now from Cindy Holmes and Becky Bourgeois. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cam.
Absolutely. So Cindy, a lot of people know about the United Way. It's kind of one of the organizations you hear a lot about, but might not be familiar with what you guys actually do. Tell me a little bit about the United Way of Okaloosa and Walton counties.
Cam, United Way fights for the health, education, financial stability of every person in every community of Okaloosa-Walton County. We've been around for a long time. As many people know, this year we're celebrating our 60th year of service in our community. We've seen lots of changes go on. We've helped to better the lives of many people. We've brought a lot of changes to this community, and this year we've got some changes going on in our own agency as well. We are changing from our roots as a traditional fundraising organization, and we're moving into community impact and investment.
Okay, so Becky, that's kind of, I think,
That's my
spiel,
department.
that's your role. So tell me a little bit about that transition and the new business model that you guys are switching to.
Cam, it's an exciting year to be involved with the United Way. In the past, the United Way has committed to traditional payroll deduction and funds distribution process. And this year, the United Way is moving away from simply funding these agencies to looking then and focusing on the most pressing issues in the community. When you go ahead and you identify community goals as a whole, you find it's easier to bring in those donors, and it's easier to bring in those advocates and those volunteers.
So for our viewers at home, how are those goals achieved though, and how are the solutions funded? How do you guys?
Well, the biggest thing with community impact and investments is we need our business model to revolve around building partnerships with our local businesses. We want to talk to the leadership and the management teams. We want to know what your values are, what your most concerning issues that you have within your community. We then compile and communicate these issues to our community impact focus groups that we do, and then we prioritize so that we can then identify these major needs in our community.
Yeah, that is a good point. In bringing in the corporate organizations, talking to them about what the pressing needs are, because a lot of their employees have those needs and have that they see it every day within their own employees. So Cindy, how does the United Way solve those most pressing problems? How do you go about doing that as an organization?
Well, Cam, United Way is uniquely positioned to serve as a role in our community, to lead change and to make it a network-wide partnership with people of passion, expertise, resources. We bring all of these together to make a real difference. The most critical component of our partnership, of course, is the support of United Way through advocacy, volunteerism, and of course our payroll contributions.
So how can people get involved? So if they want to become an advocate, if they want to start the payroll contribution, if their corporation doesn't already do that, how does an organization get involved with the United Way?
Well, of course, we have volunteer opportunities all the time throughout the year. We have just kicked off our annual Workplace Giving campaign, which is our traditional fundraising opportunity where people can support the issues that are being identified in our community impact meetings. We have just kicked off with our annual Days of Caring. That's our big kickoff to campaign where we bring in volunteers throughout the community. This year we had over 900 volunteers from 85 companies within our community that came together over the course of 5 days from Fort Walton, Crestview, Niceville, Defuniak Springs, and Destin to come together and do service projects for our nonprofits in some of our city parks and to help our children. These were things like anything from cleaning up landscaping and painting, organizing, these type things that are not in the budget of the nonprofits because their money goes for the service of our community.
Sure.
So this is an invaluable thing. It's a great way to kick off. It's a great way to bring the community in to show what our partners are doing, the work that's being done out there, and some of the needs that are being done. So we were real excited to be able to do that.
And Becky, she mentioned 900 people from 85 organizations. So obviously the organizations here in town want to be involved. The
Absolutely.
companies want to be involved. If they want to sit down with you to kind of work through that strategic outlook, how can they go about doing that?
Absolutely. We have a community focus committee that we're forming. What we do is we get these issues, we bring them together, we bring knowledgeable persons into the conversation. We just finished up a bunch of town hall-like meetings where we identified our community goals, and in 2018 what we're doing is we're going to start providing grant funding not just to agencies but to the programs that certain agencies are now producing because of these community focus groups that we've created. So some of these community impact meetings, we have goals now of things like helping children who are at risk with educational goals, helping to provide more programs for mental abuse and substance abuse, helping those in our community who need to learn self-sufficiency. So that's what we're looking for, and we're looking for any volunteers who want to be a part of that process.
Any volunteers, any organization, I'm sure I've been involved with you guys for a long time, and it's a great organization, so I definitely encourage anybody out there watching it to become involved. And I know 6 minutes flies by. We didn't get to touch on your upcoming events, but I encourage everybody to go to United Way, I'll get it right eventually, .org for more information on those events. But ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for tuning in. Join us next month as we take another look across the Gulf Coast.